So,
It'll be a quickie.
okay, so recorder's on, everybody's mic is on.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you can call it into order.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order, the Board of Public Works meeting for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. Called order at 6:20 PM. Roll call.
Bruce Bailey,
Present?
Pam Akers is excused, Denise Collins.
Present.
And John Rivera.
Present.
Okay,
Approval of the June 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes. Do I have a
Okay,
motion?
I do have one comment with regards to a revision that needs to be made to number 15.
okay.
It says motion by Alderperson Denise Collins and seconded by Alderperson Denise Collins. I believe it was seconded by Pam Akers.
Okay, so seconded by Pam Akers. So with those corrections, the motion is to approve those minutes. I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Okay.
Any citizen commentary? No citizen commentary.
Let me just back up a little bit here. I just want to do that's done.
That lady got her dead end sign. Thank you very much. She was going to show up at the meeting and tell us why she wanted a dead end sign. 83rd and Tesh. But thank you for taking care of that. So she didn't show up, but because you guys took care of it.
Just a moment, I'm just got a little computer problem here.
Okay, so we go to item number 5, presentation on new geographic information system, public maps.
Okay. I have to get in there. I have to go to a different computer.
Okay, and Jeff Katz, Director of Neighborhood Services, is going to handle that.
Sorry for the delay. Okay, so we're working on some new things in neighborhood services. We're trying to get some more user-friendly things out to the public, better ways to give them information. So, so one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to create these simplified maps to help people do things that they usually have to call us for. So, for example, this is a garbage web application that we created, and what it is let's say there'll be a link to this on the city's website, and if someone wants to know what day their garbage pickup is, all they need to do is when they go on the website, they'll go to the page for trash pickup, and they'll click on a link, and it'll bring up this map. So here's a map of the city of Greenfield, and each color is a different day of the week, and an A week and a B week. I'll explain a little more later. So let's say I want to know what day my garbage pickup is. So I come up in here and I enter my address. I enter my address, and I just entered the first 4 numbers of my address, and I see there's my house on 46th Street. So I click on it, and it brings up a map of my neighborhood with my house highlighted, and it says garbage collection day, Wednesday, B. So if I want more info on that, I can click on more info. And it says here, click here to bring up your garbage calendar. So now for each residence that has garbage collection, there is a specific calendar. So to get mine, I just click on that link, and my garbage is Wednesday B. So, for example, tomorrow is my garbage pickup. It's the 25th of August. If I look on here, it's blue, so that means garbage and recycling is tomorrow. Whereas next week, if I go to September 1st, Wednesday, September 1st, it's highlighted in green, so garbage and yard waste is next week. So what it is it used to be we had a very complicated calendar where we tried to get everyone all on one calendar. So now each person has, each house, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and A week or a B week, meaning half the houses get recycling picked up on the A week and half the houses get the recycling picked up on the B week, and then it switches with the yard waste. This is a lot easier way for them to know. So, for example, Bruce, what is your first?
4281.
4281. So I type in, sorry. So I type in 4281, and you're on 89th Street? I'm sorry, 81st Street. So it highlights your house and your neighborhood. And if I want to see what your calendar is, so your garbage was picked up today, and along with your yard waste. No, I'm sorry. Along with your yard waste. Sound correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then people can print this off and put this on their refrigerator. So it gives the whole year. Even in December, it shows what week the Christmas trees get picked up. And then it even has a page 2. So everyone has a page 2. It tells, all of the numbers for recycling, what's taken, what they take, what they don't. It has a yard waste guide where it talks about making your branches 4 feet long and grass clippings and that sort of thing. And then it also talks about garbage collection and even a little thing about MMSD, how they have hazardous waste sites. So people can print this out or save it on their computer, however they want to do it.
That's pretty neat. Go to May on the calendar. There's some question, I got a couple of calls, because I'm a Tuesday,
Yeah.
but Monday's a lot of holiday, like if it's a holiday, then they don't pick up till a day later. But recently, it wasn't a holiday like everybody thought, so a lot of people didn't put their garbage out Monday night
Oh,
because just recently.
they didn't know. Yeah, there were no holidays in August.
No, this was back, probably, it was 4th of July maybe, or
Oh,
Memorial Day? One of those two, either Memorial Day or 4th of July.
so if we look at the calendar, so Memorial Day was on a Monday. So if your garbage pickup, every day that week was shifted ahead one day.
Holiday pickup delayed one day, yeah, that's.
Yep. And even on the calendar, we show the colored square at the correct day. So we adjust, each calendar is specific to each individual day and A or B. So
Yes.
this should be a lot easier for people to understand. Our old calendar, it was, quite frankly, very difficult to understand.
I see that in it, and all that helps, that holiday pickup delayed one day, because there was a question on whether they're gonna delay one day, just recently in the last
July 4th.
couple months. Was it July 4th? Because some people didn't put out that it was gonna be delayed. But got a couple calls on that. But it wasn't.
So we're going to do this with some other things. We can do this for leaf pickup too. We can show the neighborhoods for leaf pickup. We could either do it like we do now, where we just show the neighborhoods, or we could even have, it'd be a lot of work, but we could even have it to show what neighborhood we're working in currently. It's a possibility.
So how do they get to this website? Go to the City of Greenfield website first?
Yeah, so it's going to be through the City of Greenfield website.
And then,
So if you go to City of Greenfield and you go to the garbage page, it's going to have, it says, find your garbage pickup day or
Okay,
garbage
good.
calendar. These are the kind of things that, people expect to find on the web. Used to be they would call or come in or pick up a calendar or get one mailed to them or whatever, or find it in the Recreator. But now people expect to find that on the web, so we're trying to be a little bit more responsive.
good,
Great idea.
yeah. So that's that one?
Yeah.
Okay, number 6 then. Discussion and decision to adopt an ordinance amending section 804 of the Greenfield Municipal Code regarding a parking zone reserved for persons with disabilities at 4627 South 46th Street.
Okay, so we've had a request from that particular residence. They would like a no parking zone, handicap zone in front of their house. We do this, it requires a change in the city's ordinance, traffic ordinance, and we will go out and install the signs at their property. And we charge a fee of $255. That is purely only to pay for the 2 signs, posts, and the labor and equipment to install the signs.
And I just wanted to inquire, because I see nothing in the contract, I'm assuming that's a one-time fee, correct?
Yeah, that's a one-time fee. So they pay that in order to get the signs installed and for us to go through this process of taking it through Board of Public Works and Common Council. And then in the future, if they would move, hopefully they'll tell us that they've moved so that we can remove that no parking zone.
And that's what would make it invalid by a court, where it says that under Part 2. Because it said, should any term of the provision of this ordinance be found to be invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining terms and provisions shall remain in full force and effect. I mean, what exactly?
Yeah, that's something different. That has to just do with if something was contradictory in the ordinance. More complicated ordinances have that. This one does not.
Okay,
But it's standard language in our ordinances,
okay,
so we can vote.
all right.
And so you collect the fee first before we do it, or?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I'll make a motion, we approve. Or amend Section 804 of the Greenfield Municipal Code.
Do I have a second?
Okay. To adopt the ordinance of section 804. We're going to adopt the ordinance
Yeah.
at that particular. Second?
Second that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
And, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay. Presentation report for the Honey Creek Restoration Project.
Wearing a couple hats today. Okay. Not this one. What the heck? Let's see. Okay. Okay, this is just for information only. I want to try to give you some information on a project that we've been working on for a while that is getting to the point where, You're going to hear more about it potentially at council. So the Honey Creek, the start of the Honey Creek is at 43rd and Edgerton by Creekwood Park. And it flows generally northwest. It crosses Loomis Road. It flows into Conkle Park, flows out of Conkle Park, past the new car wash, and then it goes in the concrete line channel, generally northwest. Eventually, the Honey Creek outlets into the Menominee River. It goes through West Dallas, and it goes to Wauwatosa. So we are at the headwaters of the Honey Creek, and the headwaters of Honey Creek is not concrete lined, fortunately, but we do have a lot of issues with flooding. We have the storm sewers that flow into the Honey Creek off of, say, 51st, for example, are surcharged, meaning that because the Honey Creek is so high, they sit full of water, which isn't good for flooding. The Honey Creek, where it goes through Conkle Park, especially near the pedestrian bridge, is choked with cattails
Right.
and silt that has been deposited in the creek. Most of the plant material, while it's alive and it's green, is basically invasive weeds. Cattails are an invasive. There's a lot of buckthorn in there. So what we decided to do is we wanted to try to come up with a project where we could improve the storm sewer flow into the creek, in other words, reduce flooding. And we wanted to improve the habitat, so improve the plant life and the animal life. There's a lot of fish in there, birds, other creatures, a lot of like frog-type creatures. And we wanted to also try to create some more park amenities because, Greenfield, while we have some parks, we don't have as much park space as some other communities of our size. So we wanted to try to add some park amenities in that area that right now is basically a buckthorn area, and it's not real accessible. North of the creek, we've got the baseball diamonds and the farmers market and the amphitheater. We've got the picnic shelters. We've got one on the south too, but it was it's relatively undeveloped on the south side, and we do want to keep it undeveloped, but we want to add, as a part of this project, some features that are more naturalistic. And in fact, speaking with Lisa Elliott at the Greenfield School District, they would love to do some environmental education, add that to their program, do more of it than they do now. So we thought, well, this is an opportunity to maybe help with that. So we have been applying for grants for this. This type of work there's a lot of grants available. So we've managed to get about 4 grants so far, and we're on the cusp of getting 2 more grants. And we have some other funding sources as well related to the Loomis Crossing, the Loomis project, redevelopment project, where we have TIF number 8. So we're looking to do this project primarily with grant funds and some other funds. We're going to try to avoid using any tax dollars for this project. So what you see on the screen is that part of the park that is south of the creek. So the baseball diamonds are to the north up here. And then that pedestrian bridge is right here. That crosses over to the gazebo's right here.
Yeah. Where's the new trail that we put in?
That trail is right here. You can kind of see there's two lines there.
Okay.
That's the new trail we put in.
Trail.
Yep, very, very popular. That new trail is extremely popular. I walk it fairly regularly, and a lot of people on there.
They come from the high school or just,
A lot of people from the apartments over here, or people from north of the park, or people from the south. Yeah, it's really popular. You can walk. I mean, you can walk all the way to Culver's and over to Meyer and things like that. So what we plan on doing here is we're going to be adding. So we're going to be adding a retention pond in here. You'll see it in blue. We're going to be digging a retention pond to help with flooding and water quality. We're going to be adding a channel. I wish it was in blue. Sorry, the plans are still in process, but if you see my arrow, we're going to be adding. So the main channel flows east to west here.
right,
We're adding another side channel called a low flow channel. It's going to flow south, and then it's going to curve west, and then it's going to go back south and reconnect with the channel. That low flow channel gives us an opportunity to clean the water and have another nature feature. You see how curvy that is? We're also making the main channel have more curves to it and less straight. That helps with animal habitat. And we're going to be adding in this wetland area here, we're going to be adding a boardwalk with overlooks. And then there's going to be a pathway that circumnavigates the whole pond. And there's lots of opportunities here for observation areas. So here you can look at the wetland here. You can look at wetland or the creek here at these nodes. Same thing, we have a node here that overlooks the pond. And then we have, this is a small fishing pier. We're going to be digging the pond deep enough that you could have fish. I'm thinking it's kind of like they have at some of the city parks in Milwaukee.
Like Scout Lake.
Yeah, where you can have fishing. It's primarily aimed at kids. And then on this north end is going to be a little built into the slope is a amphitheater, small, and this would be used for like education, like a teacher could talk to the students there, things like that. Or if we had someone like Dennis Firmenich could give a little program there. He's a wealth of knowledge. There's a creek that flows from the south through those apartments. It comes off of Edgerton, comes down here if you can see my arrow. So we're going to divert that into the pond, and there's going to be kind of a waterfall feature here. So you'll walk over a little pedestrian bridge. There'll be a little waterfall feature. So the apartments are in here. Oh, some of them. They're all through. It's quite a big area, but this is City Street right here, Carpenter Avenue. So we're going to have a parking lot off of Carpenter Avenue. It's going to have permeable pavers. So we're planning a picnic shelter combined with a kind of an outdoor classroom, a little bit smaller than our existing picnic shelters here. And what that will do is that'll be an opportunity for they could walk from the high school and use this as an outdoor classroom. We can rent this as a picnic shelter. So we will see revenue off of that. We're going to have, it's going to be very environmentally friendly, unique structure, and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. The parking lot is going to be permeable pavers, so the water will absorb into the ground rather than running off. It's going to have rain gardens, so the water from the roof is going to flow into rain gardens to be absorbed, and if there's an excess of rain, it'll flow down into the pond. There's going to be solar panels on the roof to provide the power, perennials, things like that. So that's what we're looking at doing up in this part of the park. And then right now, this is where the fireworks are launched from. We're going to maintain that because that's a very important area. It's the only place in the whole park where you can do that and meet all the distance requirements for safety. So that'll still remain, but we are going to add another pathway over here that'll allow people to view all this nature. We're going to be restoring this, removing a lot of that invasive buckthorn and weedy plants and replacing them with natives. Yeah, and this project actually extends further than this. This is the part we want to look at doing next summer. At least doing the grading, digging the pond, putting in the paths.
Well, that blue area, when we were walking, when the new path opened up, you know, the one
Yeah.
by the tennis courts from the high school into the park, I know, I think it was you that pointed out the fact of this blue area, but you couldn't hardly see it. It was mostly cattail, but there is some water in this blue area, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. We're
open water, but it's just marsh.
yeah. This will be open water, the blue area, and then
It's not now, though.
no, and this area over here is going to be more wetland, marsh.
We're moving a lot of dirt.
Yeah, we'll be moving a lot of dirt.
That's incredible. We're opening up that whole south end of the park.
Yep, it's going to be a big change. It's going to be very natural. It's going to be very inviting to people to see. It's going to really be something special, something that we don't have in Greenfield right now. We're also doing some work on the channel all the way from Loomis Road. We're putting in habitat improvement things, structures that'll encourage fish and that sort of thing. I think, let's see, what is today, twice. I think Friday they're going to be doing a fish survey. So what they're going to do is they're going to shock a section of the creek and count the fish.
Really?
So, yeah. So if anybody's interested, let me know, and I'll try to find out when they're going to be there. I'm not sure, but
Where is that going to be?
somewhere in Conkle Park, they're going to be doing a fish survey. They're going to try to find out
There was fish in Concord.
what kind of fish are there now. Yeah, there are some. Not
Really?
again. It's kind of a depleted,
dried out.
poor quality creek. So the goal is to have more fish, better fish.
What are we doing as far as lighting along the path?
So
And
we don't
security.
show lighting on this particular diagram. This will probably be, so right now there's this walking path that goes to the high school that's heavily lit. These new paths will have some lights, but it'll be less lit. We're trying to maintain kind of a natural appearance, but there may be some lights at key points. There'll be more lights, especially around the shelter. I'll show you a little picture of the shelter. Let's see.
Will it be closed during the winter or will it be accessible?
All this will be open during the winter.
Okay.
So here's an early rendition of the park. This one is a little less refined. the pond was smaller, parking lot was less figured out. So we engaged an architect to give us a hand with what the shelter is going to look like. The shelter would not be built next year. We're looking at, the Parks Department is looking at using block grant funds for that, so they have to apply over a couple years for block grant funds.
So next year, we're gonna start on,
The grading for the pond and for the new channel, removing some of the invasive species, start to bring those paths in and at least gravel. Grading for the parking lot will be, you can see that here's the some of the apartments here and here.
I'm gonna have to drive, so you can go to, if I drive down by Carpenter Avenue, right by the apartments,
Yeah,
that's gonna be about the 5400 block or something, or?
yeah, that's about right.
5,000. Yeah, 54 West.
54 West, yeah.
So all our picnic shelters are a little bit bigger than this, but in terms of the rectangle. So this one will be a little bit smaller. It's going to have the same features, a women's and men's restroom and a service area, because when we rent these picnic shelters out, they're very, very in demand, and people really like that service area. And then you'll see in the next photo, we got another little feature here. So it's going to be a little bit unique. It's not going to look like the shelters that we have now. It's going to have this roof that's asymmetrical. The steeper side is going to have solar panels. The roof is going to drain down into these bioswales to collect the water rather than going into sewer. And we're anticipating having this structure here, which is a chimney and potentially a fireplace if we can figure out how to do that in a public setting. Some parks do that, do fireplaces. Maybe as a rental we could do that. So here's a rendering of what it would look like from the parking lot looking toward the shelter and toward the pond. So the pond is in the background. So this is just a rendering. Here's another view of that fireplace. Kind of reminds you of what you see in a national park. Stone fireplace. Water would flow down off the roof, and it would get caught on the secondary roof, and it would flow off of there into this rock structure, and then eventually it would flow down into the pond. Here's another view. This is the solar panel side. We're using very economical materials, concrete walls that have been formed up with rough sawn wood, so you get the grain pattern. I don't know, there might be a better picture here. Here's another view showing that how that everything flows down toward that fireplace. The idea, according to the architect, is a fire and water together. Here's inside the shelter looking out. So here's that fireplace, picnic area, that concrete that's been formed with these boards so that you get that pattern on there. Kind of see it over here. Open beams, just like our other shelters have. I think our other shelters have beams. So that's what we're looking at doing at Conkle Park. Like I said, it's a work in progress. We've been applying for grants. We've been pretty successful. We're going to continue. People in the outside the city are really excited about this. The people at Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District, the DNR people, they're all really, really excited about what we're doing here in Greenfield. So you'll hear more about this. And I just wanted to give everybody a little introduction tonight.
Yeah, it's incredible to open up that whole south end like that. If we can get this done, I mean, quite ambitious.
I would say it's about a 3-year project. Starting next year, although we've been working on it for 2 already.
Wow. That's pretty needed.
Okay, so that was information only. Wait till Denise gets back.
Yeah, I don't know. Cause that trail, the new one from the tennis courts into the park, that was really, they really did a nice job on that.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever did that work. Then they tiered some stuff, and I remember, just the way they landscaped that whole path.
Oh, you mean by
When it came down.
by the amphitheater?
No, from the tennis courts down. That
Oh,
I know it was, that across was it a little bridge that they had to do? There was something extra.
a
they had-
culvert there.
A culvert?
Culvert there.
That they put in?
You mean the path? Oh, the path by the high school. Yep.
Yeah. We took a walk through there, was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think. Oh, last year.
Last year. It was last year.
Last
Yeah,
year.
it was last year.
Okay, let's.
You were when we took that walk to the new path?
Yes.
A year ago?
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah.
Item number 8.
Okay, yeah, item number 8, progress report for the turf skate park project.
Okay, so this is also from information only. This is give you a little more information on the turf skate park that we're planning for construction for next year as well. It's going to take more than a year to build the skate park. It takes a long time to do all that concrete work. And I'll just got to go to the other computer again. So early on, when we started to investigate the idea of this turf skate park, we created this website. I'm sure you've all heard the story of the turf, but I'll just reiterate the story. So on the website, we have a section that tells the story of the turf. So back in the 1970s, skateboarding had a boom, and there were private skate parks going up all around the country, and one of them was here in Greenfield, and it was the Surf and Turf. And the Surf and Turf was very popular, but it was only open for a short period of time because I think it had something to do with insurance. I think these parks closed because insurance companies realized they didn't want to insure them, I believe. So skateboarding came from the east and west coast, like the Florida and California, and it became popular all over the country, especially in the 70s. So the turf skate park, this is a picture. You can kind of see inside what it looked like. It was, it had these bowls they looked kind of like swimming pool bowls, because that's what people skated back in those days. They skated empty swimming pools in California, Florida, wherever. Drainage ditches and things like that were popular. It opened in 79. It eventually closed. In 1987, it was reopened, and it was rebranded as the Turf, because they didn't call it the Surf and Turf. They called it the Turf. And it was very popular. Besides all the locals, and many of the locals who skated it are still crazy about reminiscing about it. There are a lot of professionals that skated there. The one you'd probably know the name of the most is Tony Hawk. Skated at the turf when he came through. Was a part of when he was a professional, young professional. People traveled from all around the country to skate the turf. I just talked to somebody Saturday who's a skateboard designer in Oklahoma, and he said he skated the turf in the 90s. So people traveled here. Wasn't uncommon for people to come up from Chicago for the day and stay for the day. Come from Madison. So eventually the turf closed in the 90s, 1996, and the building was demolished. It had some other lives too after it was a skate park, but eventually after those businesses went closed, then the building was demolished. The bowls were filled with gravel, covered with soil, but deep underground, the bowls were still there. So the DOT bought the land because they needed to make an off-ramp. I don't know if you remember, there wasn't an off-ramp there. But in 2010, they decided to construct that off-ramp. So while they were digging, they unearthed the corners of the turf, one of the bowls. So what happened in 2010 was people found out about those bowls being exposed. So they rushed out there, and you can see from this picture, buckets and shovels, anything they could do, and they worked into the night to unearth the turf. And then at night, when they had enough of it exposed, they skated the turf. Again, these were guys that skated it in the 70s and 80s, and here it was 2010, and they were much older, but they wanted to relive their childhood, I guess. So, because it was that popular. So, as the mayor explained, that was probably one of the things. Unearthing the turf was one of the things that probably garnered the most emails he ever received about a single thing ever. And so he decided that, he eventually, hopefully someday, the city could rebuild the turf. And then in 2019, he negotiated with the DOT, and he got that land for $1. So that's how the city ended up with the turf property now, because he got it for $1. And the condition is that the turf property, this is a condition from the DOT, the turf property has to remain a park. And everything on that site needs to be part of that park. So, like, there's a cell tower there, and there's a billboard there, and all that is the park. And that's the DOT's requirement, which we gladly accepted. In spring of 2020, it was a archaeological dig site again, because Public Works Department excavated all 5 of the bowls and inspected them. And all the bowls are in really good condition. And now people go and visit the excavated bowls. People go there to visit their former place that they love so much. So we're planning on rebuilding the turf skate park and having a building over the original bowl, restored bowls, and then putting some more skate features on the outside. So, and the building is going to be kind of a replica of the old building. So we had some meetings. We worked with 27th Street Business District and the local high schools, not just Greenfields, but some Milwaukee High School, Pulaski, and the other private one down there. And we had a public meeting, and we had boards there, and people could say, we had, I'll say kids, but there were all ages from 60 years old down to about 10, and they talked about what they wanted to see in the park. We hired a professional skateboard designer from Seattle to do the design. And the interesting thing about this Grindline Skate Park company is that Grindline was started by a skater in Seattle named Monk. That was his nickname, Monk. And he actually, when he was young, rode freight trains across the country to Greenfield to skate the turf. And he slept in a tent in the turf parking lot, and kids from the neighborhood brought him food. Him and his buddy did that together. So that's how they got here. So he eventually started Grindline Skate Parks, which became one of the biggest skate park design firms in the country, maybe the world. They build skate parks everywhere from all around the U.S. to Dubai. They built the biggest skate park in the country in Texas a couple of years ago. They just did I believe they did the skate park in Des Moines, where they held the trials for the Olympics, which opened, I think, last year. We have Grindline on our team, a little history there. We're ready to get going on the turf property. We recently did a second public information meeting, and it was online, and it had to be online because of COVID. So what we did was we put some renderings online to show what the park would look like. We had over 1,000 people commented on what they thought of it. We have hundreds of people on our social media who are sharing this around the country, around the world. We get contacted by people all over the country fairly regularly about this. That's what a big deal it is. So here's a rendering of what it's going to look like. So this is what the original turf looked like. It was a steel building. It's going to have the bowls. The original bowls will be on the inside, just like the original. And then on the outside, we're going to have more bowls. This basically takes up the area that we got from the DOT for $1. And the cell phone tower is this right here. There's going to be a street going past the front of it as a part of that new development that Cobalt is doing through the TIF. We got a couple different views. This is from the east looking west, showing how it's going to have cabanas. What happens when at these skate parks is the kids, they all like to hang out together with their friends, and there's different groups. So we're going to have that there. This is a view from south to north, showing one of the bowls. Not only do they skateboard in here, but they use BMX bikes in there. West to east, this is across the front of the building. Roller skaters is another thing. We've got contacted by a group that does roller skating on a regular basis in Milwaukee. And one of the things that they like to do, or they're well known for, is teaching girls to skate and have self-confidence. So there's a lot more to it than just skateboarding. Skateboarding builds self-esteem for kids and gives them a sense of belonging. Here's a view of the west side. So this is closest to Loomis Road. These are the type of bowls that you'll see in the Olympics, bigger flow bowls, different than what the original turf was. These are the modern bowls that kids today want, and that ones inside are going to be challenging for kids today too, but also it's going to attract skateboard tourism is a pretty big deal. Inside the building, it's going to be very basic steel structure. The skate open, nothing fancy. The skate large, but nothing fancy. The skateboard bowls are in there. This space here could be leased, so it could generate revenue for the city, potentially. If we find somebody that wants to lease it, say a skate shop or restaurant. And here's a view from above to kind of show, here's the off-ramp. Loomis Road, 43rd Street, the new road going by, cell tower. So that's what we're working on for the turf skate park. And I'll just play this one real quick. So Tony Hawk, the godfather of skating. So he was interviewed by Channel 6 News. I think this was back in 2010, talking about just, he's probably the most famous skater in the world, and he's talking about how famous the turf was. Oh, I'm not going to get audio.
Very local skate park.
I read about it growing up as a skater in California, and I got the opportunity to go there in the 80s and then again like in the early 90s right before it closed.
Tony's talking about the Turf, a greenfield skate park near 894 and Loomis Road, which put the brakes on skating 14 years ago. In Milwaukee for his Birdhouse skateboard tour, the Californian says the Turf is an icon from the early era of skateboarding.
That really could be a destination spot for Milwaukee. I mean, truly, there aren't many skate parks that people will travel great lengths to go see or to go ride, and that would be one of them. People would come all over the world to ride that park.
So, pretty good. That's a pretty good endorsement for the Turf skate park.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Number 9.
That's going to be our park, right?
It's going to be our park, Greenfield.
Yep.
Skate park.
Public
Well,
park, free.
Are we going to eventually hire somebody to run that, or?
Well, we're looking at options on how to run it. Scott is looking at that. It would be nice to have a leasee in the building, because that would help us with
Yeah.
daily supervision, cleaning bathrooms, things like that, locking and unlocking the gates. And then we would have some park staff there also. But it wouldn't need as much staff if we had somebody else in the place. So we're looking at options there.
Okay, well, thanks. That was pretty interesting. Number 9, Superintendent of Public Works report.
Thank you. Just a brief overview of some of our seasonal work we've been doing. Multiple catch basin repairs in the Shirley Crest neighborhood, east of 51st, bordered by Layton Avenue and Botsford, or 894. Did some catch basin repairs in there. We also did an extensive mastic application on the concrete panels along Howard Avenue from Loomis Road east to 27th Street. The mastic is like maybe a heavier crack sealing material with some other adhesives in it that help it to last about 3 to 5 years. And our group has gotten really good at applying it and putting it down, and hopefully to save that concrete joints for a few more years, and then eliminates the constant potholing that we have to do on that stretch there. So kudos to the guys for doing that. Our pavement marking continues in the city east of 60th Street this year. We typically go east and west of 60th Street, so this year's east. They're still on crosswalks and stop bars and such, and then they'll soon be on long lining of the white and the yellow in the center lanes coming up pretty soon here. We also recently updated the Greenfield population signage, currently at 37,803. And sanitary sewer cleaning, the crew that's been carrying out that work has done over 200,000 linear feet of cleaning of the sewers. So some other projects we're doing, we have a retrofit along Layton Avenue from 62nd to 74th Street, which includes 60th Street north and south of Layton Avenue. We actually take delivery of the rest of those poles tomorrow, and we should be getting on that project next week, which would include, wiring the poles, putting the fixtures on the poles, and then taking down the old ones and standing up the new ones. So pretty excited to be getting involved in that, and thanks to Jeff and his staff for helping us out with that project. City Hall prep work for a fall tree planting. So we removed some dead and decaying and otherwise past their useful life trees and plantings around City Hall as part of a 3-phase re-landscaping plan around City Hall, which includes the concrete work at the west entrance that was failing pretty badly. So we've prepped that in preparation for the fall tree planting for Dan Larson. I think got the bid this year, so we'll have some tree planting around here. And DPW yard improvements continue with the stormwater and material storage upgrades. So that's going on. Forestry, we had that storm response August 10th. We responded to over 20 locations. Guys did a bang-up job of taking care of all that stuff. We're trying to work in unison with We Energies to remove the limbs off the wires and such, and wanted to make sure we had a safe environment for them to do that. Most of the locations that we responded to were privately owned trees, so our right-of-way trees are in pretty decent shape, I would say, for that type of sheer wind that we incurred that night. Some of our other duties, we participated in a National Night Out. This year we included a forestry arm to our National Night Out as part of our 2021 forestry grant. So we also assisted in Ethan's Run, a law enforcement ride out of the House of Harley, as well as the firefighter motorcycle ride last Saturday. So don't forget, there's a car show September 11th. So
Fantastic.
Great. You guys been busy.
a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. Okay, engineering report?
So engineering projects that are capital improvement projects that are currently underway. We just finished concrete panel replacement on Cold Spring, and we're working in the St. Francis neighborhood on Phase 2. That's a joint project that we're doing with the city of Milwaukee. That is a full neighborhood reconstruction. And we are starting a tree planting program probably in the next month. So we'll be planting, as you mentioned from Tree Commission, probably another, I don't remember how many trees it is now. That's a lot.
400.
And then we're also planning for next year. So we're designing all our projects for next year so we can get them out to bid in January. So engineering department is really busy right now.
That's the end of the way here. We got Cold Spring blocked off by 76th.
Yeah, that's because there was some utility work done there last year, and the patch that they put in failed, so we made them replace it, and so they had to close off the road in order to fix their patch. And that's all.
Great.
All right, number 11, other topics for future agendas. We got anything?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, that's great. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Denise Collins, seconded by,
I'll second that motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. We are adjourned at 7:20.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
I'm glad we got the computers working and